drive things off the wall.
That's us, man. 24/7.
You should expect the unexpected. I mean,
Make it known that this is all about being 100% authentic.
We are live now.
So with that being said, let's jump right in.
yeah, good deal. Sandra, you want to add to that?
I definitely will. And to your question, you asked, young lady, and you're such a beautiful young lady too, I may add that. You asked, what did we do that we're able to tell our stories, especially when our stories seem like they're laced with shame, and guilt. And I probably can't even say it better than Dr. Thurston and Dr. Thicklin, but I will say this. How did I get to this place where I am right now? Somebody had to die. I'm just gonna go right there with you. Somebody had to die. Mm-hmm. And it's called the ego. And once you have the ego death, what you're ashamed of, what is there ashamed of? You switch that shame and you exchange it for gratitude. And so what's left in my life after going through so much trauma and despair, and like Pastor said, hopelessness, it's nothing left here but a young woman with a lot of gratitude, because she had to die. Because until she died, she wanted self-pity on her side. Self-pity because no one stopped what she went through. And that's why our rehab centers are full of people that will have this recidivism, right? They go to rehab to get clean and sober, they'll leave out, they'll come back. They'll leave out, they'll get the methadone, they'll come back. Okay, mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, what's happening with all of our degrees and all of our trauma-informed understanding, with all of our evidence-based methodologies? Why are people going out from our care, okay, or even our prisons? Let's just keep it real, and coming back. Why are you returning to your vomit, like the Bible says? Who wants to return to vomit? Somebody's not doing what they need to do. And that's the problem. You're meant to come back, because I'm sorry to say this, and I love what Mike is doing. I love Mike's mentality. We have to provide our own solutions, because we live in a capitalist society, okay? Let's just cut to the chase. We live in a capitalist society. So Big Farm is not trying to heal you. No. Okay, they need another payment for the Maseratis and all the other things that they amass, okay? A lot of these systems that are in place are not trying to help you obtain life, liberty, and happiness, right? This is a capitalist society at its core. And until we understand that, and until we get with like-minded people, the way Mike said at the top of the hour of our time together, until we do that, where we really care about our fellow human being, we're not going to see change, but we will see change. Why? Because I have looked in the eyes of everyone on this screen tonight, and I see a common denominator. And that common denominator is you care more now about the other than you do about yourself. And that's when you find out why you came to this planet. That's when you found out why you were born. But we have to understand, and I love that Dr. Thurston tapped in on neuroplasticity, because we have been wired and socialized from childhood to think and do and act what we're doing. We're products of our society. And what does that mean? It means before I ever learned to read or write, I spoke it. Mm-hmm. Before I ever learned to read and write, I spoke it. Mm-hmm. So before I learn and know what's going on with my life, I've internalized it. And like Dr. Thurston said, I assume responsibility for what I'm not responsible for. So even as a child who went through childhood sexual abuse and so many ACEs that I'm not going to even get into, I internalize it as my fault. And whenever we internalize something as our fault, we take it to the grave. Why? Because it's a shame-based pathology. And shame keeps us imprisoned, right, to our own automatic thoughts, and they're often very distorted thoughts. And that's why the Lord tells us to take every thought captive right? Take it all captive. And until we can take those thoughts captive, we will always subscribe the wrong meaning. And like we said, when we started this topic about demonizing trauma, whatever you misdiagnose, you'll mistreat. Okay? So if I misdiagnose you as bipolar or as someone with ADHD, not understanding your background, doing a genogram, doing an assessment to understand that your father's not in your life, you're being raised by a single mother, nothing against single mothers, but that whole strong Black woman myth is just that, it's a myth. And it's caused a lot of women that looks just like me to have early mortality when it does not have to be, okay? So what does ADHD look like in a life of a young boy that's not able to run and play and have sports and be with his father and just break stuff? Isn't that the behavior of a little boy? So why am I not allowing him to be a child? Because again, we're socialized in this society. We're dehumanized in this society. We're at the point what Dr. Thicklin said earlier. When you extract out of a young boy, you can't cry, you can't feel weakness. Man up as a young boy. Listen, your brain is wired around that. Though neuroplasticity shows us that scripture is true, that we can be transformed by the rewiring of our mind, still that process has to take place. And until it takes place, how can we want to lock up what we created? This society creates the beast it incriminates. What do I mean by that? You can't tell a human being, okay, that they cannot cry or say I love you or say I'm sad or say I'm feeling hurt or what you did hurt me or I'm feeling sad today. But how many men, especially Black men, even allow those words to come out of their mouth without associating it with weakness? The LGBT community, if you will. What? This is psychosis, okay? You are taking everything out of that human being that makes him human, and then when he does these egregious things like killing his family, beating his wife, doing all these things, you say, how can he do that? What got into him that he did that? Well, I'll tell you what it was. It was growing up in this male-dominant patriarchal society. It's you not allowing him to skin his knee and hold him as a father. A man needs to do this. He needs to see his father cry. He needs to see his father vulnerable. He needs to hear his father say, I love you, babe. You mean so much to me. Talking to his son.
Absolutely.
Talking to his son. Holding him, brushing his son's hair, rocking his son to sleep at night. I'm talking 6 years old, having his son on his lap, tickling him, cuddling with him, and asking him about his feelings. When you don't do that, you are extracting his humanity out of him. And what's left is a robotic beast that is capable of doing the most horrific things in our society. And that's the facts.
Wow.
And just as a father raising, two sons, I see that. I see other parents and other children raising their sons without compassion, without the human side. And I refuse to do that to my child because it's robbing them. You know what I mean? And you just touched on so many things, but I just wanted to reinforce and just reiterate and emphasize that these powers that be, big pharma, police, the justice system, the prison system, the education system are counting on our pathology to keep their industries alive.
That's right.
To feed their prisons, to feed their consumerism, to feed big pharma. They're counting on that pathology to continue for us to not break the cycle so they can keep getting rich, because all it does is turn us into consumers.
Mike, not the Willie Lynch letters speak to that very thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once you were a slave and then there was no more need for the slave because we have machines. Now we have to transform you. We can't send you back. We can't get rid of you. We can't kill all of you. So we need to still make money off you. We still need to make you feed our system. We still need to make you feed our machine.
Absolutely.
And so they did with our bodies physically in jail. They did it with our communities and our cities. And they're finding ways to continue transforming that slavery from consumerism to other forms of enslavement, which are perpetuated from 400 years ago.
And Mike, can I add to that, please?
Absolutely.
So important. Dr. Thurston hit on it earlier. So we become that touch. How we've been touched, we become that thing. That very thing that we despise, that very thing that hurt us, hurt people. But let me tell you how I see it playing out in pop culture. Most pop cultures, women turn around. They don't even want you to see their face. They want you to see their butts, because our value now is in our butt and our breasts and not in our brains, right? And now men in pop culture, every other word out of their mouth is the N word. So we are over-sexualized, and we're calling each other one of the most demoralizing names that our ancestors heard when we were being lynched. The last thing they heard was die N-word, and a picnic was happening around them. This is the facts. Read the research, is there. So what you see now, look what's promulgated right now. You see a whole lot of men talking about money, because that's what we were all about. We were bought here, not because of racism, by the way, but because of money and power. Okay, let's get that straight. Because you're not gonna rape something that you just hate like that. And a lot of men and women was raped by their slave masters. Okay, so that's first. Second thing is, you see the women seeing their value in sexuality. So everything is overly sexualized. Are we not going back to slavery? Were we not used for our sexuality to populate plantations? This is the facts. And until we understand the underlying dynamics of what we're seeing played out on the screen, dressed up like pigs in dresses, turn it around so people can see our butt and not letting them see our hearts and our brains, okay? So I gotta turn around, because I gotta let you see just how big my butt is. And these men have to flash this money because I need you to see my gold teeth and how much money I got, N-word. Do you not see what I see?
Absolutely.
Do you not see the whole reverberating boomerang of slavery coming back, just in a different package, but still the same context?
Exactly. And we're familiar with terms that we use now, the new Jim Crow. We can see that very plainly when we start talking about things like voter suppression and those things there, voter suppression. But it's interesting how we tend to be blind to exactly what Dr. Sandra just mentioned. We're blind to recognizing that we're seeing slavery all over again, just at a different level. You know, that's an old phrase that we used to use in the South. I'm originally born and raised in Selma, Alabama, but that's a phrase we used to use, you know, take the chain off your brain, John Henry. You know, we thought the chains on John Henry's legs and his arms is what held him in bondage. No, it's the chain on your brain. And we understand that in terms of the fact that when we ourselves refuse to be enlightened, refuse to have illumination to happen within us, we will continue to repeat the same things over and over again. And watch this. Harriet Tubman said it, and it implies even greater now. She talks about I would have freed even more if they only knew that they were slaves.
Amen.
And many of us will remain in bondage until we raise this conversation. And we must raise this conversation out of general compassion for one another that goes beyond status. Because oftentimes when we do quote unquote make it, our goal is just to make sure that we're above you. It's not to bring you up. It's not to bring liberating things. Just as long as I'm head and shoulder above you. That's not how you deliver a generation. That's not how you transform a culture. That's not how you do that. We need to take lessons from our foreparents, those that were sharecroppers, those that went through and they sacrificed to make sure that the next generation had better, and to make sure the next generation would learn the lessons. We have forsaken that. And in spite, think about what I'm saying, in spite of all the incredible HBCUs that we have, how do we then translate all that we've learned and make it practical inside of what we pass on to the next generation? What is it that we do? We're more than just a t-shirt. We're more than just an emblem. We're more than just a logo. We're more than that. We have a responsibility, and that's a curse word in our society. We have a responsibility to one another to really be the ones to lift it up. Our African proverb says that many hands makes the load lighter, but we don't want to join many hands.
Right.
We are glorying inside of simply having one up. Man,
Oh,
there is no
gosh.
one, there
Oh
is
my
no
God.
one up until we're all up.
That's it.
There is no one up until
There
we're all
isn't.
up. And that's a father of 4 biological sons and 1 biological daughter who will be celebrating her 31st birthday tomorrow. I can agree with Mike. My oldest son is 6'9", 375 pounds. And
Woo!
but how tall his dad is, he's gonna tell you 7 feet. Not because his dad was this tough guy on him, but guess what? Till this day, we never part each other without "I love you." We hold each other. They've seen their dad cry in front of them. Their dad has been vulnerable and transparent in front of them. No matter how great the world sees their dad, they know their dad is vulnerable. They know that their dad is not too proud to say, "Son, I was wrong. I missed that."
That's right.
What is it that you say? We have to get to the point where our young men understand that being a man and this toxic masculinity only perpetuates the problem. We've
Right.
got to be able to make that touch, that connection there, because that's the only way that we will live. And I close by simply saying, the old saying is that a high tide floats all boats. Well, guess what? It's time for us to roll tide.
I have Dr. Thirst,
Of course.
Dr. Dickman, really quick. You said that toxic masculinity. I want to ask you, how does that Mandingo complex that we were taught to fight against each other from our slave masters? You know, we had these Mandingo battles, and we have been taught that. We see that played out in our society every single day, especially with Black on Black crime.
Exactly.
How does that tie in when we connect the dots to toxic masculinity and this dispensation where we are now?
Well, it ties into, once again, it perpetuates this thing of being not only dominant, winner takes all. I've got to win. There's got to be a loser. There's got to be a winner. And when we take that type of mentality, watch this. Oftentimes, what we lose from that is the humanity of it all. The humanity of it all. Look, it's hard for me to see you, my brother, bleeding and not want to be there for
That's
you.
right.
It's hard for me to see you, my brother, struggling and not have some sense of compassion. Oh man, what can we do to help this brother here? And not from a sense of looking down on you, but from the sense of the fact that I want to bring equity to you. Equity. We fought the wrong battle for a long time. We was talking about equality, and what we really need is equity. We was talking equality. Equal, really? Well, equal doesn't look equal if you started off at a different
That's
place than I was from the beginning. We
Right.
must have equity. And that responsibility, equity, I'm tired of looking to the government. The government is not going to bring equity in of itself until we collectively come together and demand it.
That's it.
Demand, and then we must demonstrate it on the ground level amongst ourselves. We've heard a lot over the last year about Black Wall Street and Black this and all
Black
those
Lives
things
Matter.
and all those things matter. Black Lives Matter. Well, let me say something to you. Who are we preaching that message to? Are we trying to convince a white America that Black Lives Matter? Or do we need to start with convincing ourselves that Black Lives Matter?
Amen.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Let me just say, I just want to appreciate the fact that all 4 of y'all walking in your purpose and y'all are walking in your assignments. We are truly blessed to be able to just hear all the gems that y'all are dropping tonight. I will be remiss if I didn't mention, Doctor, that I see how you put the roll tide in there from your Alabama
I
roots.
know.
I peeped
Call
that.
it, right?
That was nice. I like how you put that in there. That was good. That was good.
I wasn't gonna say that, but I was wondering.
No. I wanted to make sure I addressed that. But
You got it.
but no, I truly appreciate it. Mike, we're gonna end it with you, man, and give some parting shots before we wrap up. Anything you want to say before we go?
Absolutely.
Once again, this conversation, this opportunity has been tremendous. Just for, I feel, for myself, but for each of us individually, but more so for us collectively. this is a step in that direction to a unified front to address the issues that we're talking about, to be the change that we want to see in our community and in our world. It's one thing to talk about it, and then it's another thing to take steps and to take action and to be about it. So that's where we are. And, Dr. Thurston, Dr. Thicklin, Sandra, Dr. Anderson, I'd love you guys for your perspectives, for your mind, and for your contributions tonight. Like, this was amazing. And I hope that we can continue the conversation and have part 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever it takes to get to the next level, to make it so that next time this Zoom happens or next time this YouTube happens, you have 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 people watching. So now the conversation goes from grassroots and ground up to a movement, and to traction and to action. That's where we are. So, I thank you for your contributions to me and to my company and to this conversation, and also just to society and to the world, to the people that you've touched in your lives and uplifted and made changes to, because it's valuable. I talked to you guys before camera about just me helping one person and what it brought for me personally, what it did for me, but not just how it made me feel, but it let me know I was walking in my purpose. It was validation and confirmation that this is where I'm supposed to be and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm going to continue doing the work and doing that job and collaborating with you guys, but also with others on a broader scale, on a grander scale, so that this only grows.
Great.
So again, I thank all of you guys for coming out and meeting with us tonight and talking about our mental health awareness and advocacy podcast. I want to thank you guys at 5 Things Off the Wall for, opening up the platform for us and having a conversation with me, my brother. We go way back. So this is a pleasure, as well as, taking care of business. I take this very seriously.
Not a problem at all. These are topics that we always want to try to address and always want to, we've been blessed to have a platform to be able to do things like this. So we want to be able to walk in our purpose and walk in our assignment, just like the 4 of y'all are doing. Before we end it though, I do want to, get some handles out there for people to know where to follow you at. So Mike, where can people follow you? Facebook, right. IG,
I will follow up with a new Facebook, as I have been hacked and corrupted. So right now, please just, contact me via email. All my friends know, all of you guys out there have seen, that's not me. Don't talk to me on Facebook. It's not me. But please email me at Frederick Consulting Group at gmail.com. Also FCGLLC for you at gmail.com. And I will be following up with more information, our website, as well as some follow-up information for you guys to get in contact with us regarding further events, more podcasts, and speaking events and engagements.
Good deal. Sandra, where can people follow you at?
You can definitely follow me on Facebook. I'm at Sandra Maria Anderson. My book is available at sandramariaanderson.com. Also, you can see a film we just completed on sex trafficking called Taking Innocence Project. And a few years ago, filmmakers saw my story, read my book, and we just finished that film, working across the nation with the FBI and with other human trafficking survivors and advocates. And so you could definitely go on Facebook and go to Take an Innocence Project and see that film. Also, I work for the Florida Department of Health, so I encourage everyone to know their status, know their HIV status. If it wasn't for me getting tested many years ago, I would not be here. And we have stigma against mental health, like Dr. Thicklin and Dr. Thurston was talking about. We have stigma against HIV as well. It's been 40 years since HIV hit the scene, and it's been typecast as a killer, and it's no longer a killer. It's a chronic illness, and you can live a long, healthy, productive life, get married, never transmit the virus, and have children and not transmit the virus. I have 7 beautiful children. I have 15 gorgeous grandchildren, and they're all perfectly fine. And it's because I'm adherent to my antiretroviral medication over the last 30 years. I'm very grateful. My oldest daughter will be 40 years old in January, and my baby will be 33. So, so I'm so grateful for that. So you can definitely reach out to me at sandra.anderson@flhealth.gov. That is my morning position, and I'm also a counselor. You can reach me at Love Gardens Ministries International Incorporated, and that is a mentoring and a counseling company organization. It's 5013C. We've incorporated a couple of years ago, so we are up and operating. I will be graduating with my doctorate in a couple of months. So I'm on my last part of my dissertation now in transgenerational trauma as well. So I just want to thank you, Mike. I've known him for many years. He's a man of character and integrity, but he's also a man of courage and strength. And I just so have such a high level of honor and respect for him. And I thank you all for having us today. We look forward to, like Mike said, keeping this going. It needs to be a movement because they're moving out there, right? They're moving in all the wrong direction. And it's going to take people with like-mindedness to come together and start to move our culture and our country in the right direction. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Thicklin.
Well, you can find me on Facebook at J.R. Thicklin on Facebook, as well as Dr. J.R. Thicklin on Facebook, as well as we have a special page devoted to domestic violence called Domestic Violence It Is Your Business on Facebook. Now, my kid's going to laugh because I think my Instagram is J.R. Thicklin. I don't know. They somewhat have barred me off certain social media things. I don't know if it's because of fear of embarrassment or fear that I'll discover, it's one or the other. But also, you can also find me, my website, jrthicklin.com or destinybychoice.org. Once again, I want to thank you very, very much. Our attention definitely will continue to lead inside of mental health and faith, and of course, domestic violence in the faith community. You can find this old publication. You probably have to look it online. We collaborated with the Institute on Domestic Violence, the African American community, on a collaborative we co-authored called "Speaking of Faith: Domestic Violence Programs in the African American Church," and that was meant to directly speak to the church about what they can do as it relates to the issues of domestic violence.
Good deal. Good deal. Thank you. And Dr. Thurston, come on and bring it on home for us.
Yes, I can be reached on Instagram and Facebook. Just type in either Antoine Thurston, you'll see my face, or Dr. Antoine Thurston, doesn't matter. My podcast is Real Talk. Just type in my name. It's going to come up. Have about maybe like over 15 episodes. Just dealing with real issues with real people. My book is called My Bondage and My Freedom: From the Mental Institution to the Pulpit. That's available on all major platforms, Barnes & Noble online, Books A Million, Amazon. If you like an autograph copy, go to my webpage, AntoineDThurston.com. That's also on my Instagram and social platform. My website is there in the bio as well. You can purchase an ebook or a paperback book as well.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. Well, again, for those who are listening, thank you for joining. Thank you for I hope that you got smarter. I hope that the people who are listening and really look at this, hope you was touched and impacted like we were. I think I can speak for Walt and Crystal that we truly was blessed with the gems that all four of you dropped tonight. And we're truly appreciative.
Most definitely.
So
Awesome.
with that being said, on behalf of for Crystal and for Walt, I'm Dev. Make sure you subscribe to our pages on Instagram and on YouTube. Leave comments, and I'm gonna end it like our brother ends it. And all that you do, take positivity with you.
You gotta do the voice, man.
No, I'm not doing the voice. Anyway, I can't mimic Derek's voice. He got the velvety voice. I can't do it. Anyway, and all that you do, take positivity with you. No. And all that you do, take positivity with you. This is Real Talk with D. This is 5 things off the wall.
Man. This is 5 things off the walls. It's not Real Talk with D. We'll not do that.
5 things off the wall.
All the show.
I know. That's what we got editing for, though. Anyway.
Yeah.
Just give me a job. Peace.
And we are out.
Good job, guys. Thank you.
Yo, if you haven't, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and follow 5 Things Off the Wall on all platforms.